Have you ever imagined living in a time when everything around you seemed to be falling apart? Wars everywhere, famine, invasions, and an empire practically torn to pieces? Well, that was the reality of Rome when a man of humble origins but an unshakable determination decided to change the game. We are talking about Aurelian, the emperor who took an empire in ruins and unified Rome in an astonishing way, earning the title Restorer of the World. In this story, we will follow every step of his journey, filled with epic battles, unexpected alliances, and surprising twists. You'll learn details about Aurelian's life, how he rose to power, his bold military strategies, the great walls he built, and even the mysteries surrounding his death. Get ready for a journey through time, from the heart of Rome to the far reaches of Palmyra, passing through the most remote provinces of the empire. And you know what's even more intriguing? Aurelian wasn't the only great figure of this era. Characters like the fearless Queen Zenobia, the enigmatic Tetricus, and previous emperors like Gallienus and Claudius II all played crucial roles in the turbulent events that shaped the destiny of the Roman Empire. Want to find out how each of them contributed to this gripping historical saga? Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any of our deep dives into ancient Rome. Humble origins and early influences. We've talked about a weakened empire, but who was the man who dared to rebuild it from the ashes? Let's go back to Aurelian's roots and understand how his humble childhood shaped the character of a true Emperor. Aurelian was born on September 9th, around 214 AD, in a rural region heavily influenced by the military. His father, possibly a veteran colonist of the Roman army, taught him early on the values of discipline and hard work. Meanwhile, rumors suggest that his mother was connected to the cult of the sun, which might explain Aurelian's later fascination with solar deities. As a child, Aurelian grew up witnessing border instability. At that time, being poor and living near conflict zones meant that everyday life was a constant battle for survival. This combination of strict upbringing and harsh environment forged the fearless spirit that he would later display on the battlefield. What's most remarkable is that despite his humble beginnings, Aurelian never let circumstances define him. While many young men dreamed of escaping the harshness of farm life or the threat of invaders, he saw an opportunity to prove himself worthy of a greater destiny. Soon, he would begin his military path, discovering that this was, indeed, his true calling. Joining the Roman army. How did someone who grew up amid chaos decide to become a part of the Roman army? This next part of our story will reveal Aurelian's surprising turn toward a life of constant warfare. His decision to join the legions happened around 235 AD, when Aurelian was in his early 20s. At that time, the Roman army was in constant flux, with commanders and emperors rising and falling in quick succession. This created an ideal environment for an ambitious man, one unafraid of risk and eager to prove himself. From the moment he enlisted, Aurelian's reputation grew rapidly. His performance caught the attention of superior officers, especially because of the way he handled pressure and adversity. Commanders noticed that, even in small missions, this young soldier displayed a tactical brilliance beyond the ordinary. But the army wasn't just a path to social mobility for Aurelian, it was also a way to protect what he believed in, the idea of a unified and strong Rome. Through countless minor battles and border skirmishes, he collected victories and experience, steadily climbing the ranks. Have you ever wondered how these early steps shaped the destiny of an entire empire? Leave a like now so we can continue bringing you incredible stories like this. Rising to cavalry commander. If you thought merely joining the Roman army was an impressive feat, wait until you see how Aurelian quickly became a key figure in the most feared war machine of the ancient world, the strength of the Roman legions. always lay in their discipline and organization, but it was the cavalry that brought speed and shock power to the battlefield. Aurelian displayed a special talent in leading mounted troops, showing an uncanny ability to know when to strike and when to retreat. This tactical brilliance soon caught the attention of Gallienus and later Claudius II. As cavalry commander, Aurelian led elite units, responsible for executing the first and most decisive attacks in battles. He mastered rapid maneuvers that took barbarian invaders by surprise, disorienting their ranks and breaking apart their formations before they even had a chance to react. This position brought him not only fame and respect, but also the trust of other generals. It was common for him to be assigned the most difficult challenges if there was an impenetrable fortress to take or a tribe that repeatedly evaded Roman defenses. Aurelian was the man for the job. Step by step, he gained prestige and positioned himself as a rising force within the empire. By combining discipline, courage, and intelligence, the future emperor was making giant strides toward absolute command. And in a time when each battle determined whether Rome would survive or collapse, Aurelian's rapid ascent couldn't have come at a better moment for the empire. Victory over invading tribes? Want to feel the adrenaline of a life-or-death battle? Then get ready to discover how Aurelian's victories over Germanic and Gothic tribes changed the course of Roman history. By the 260s AD, the Danube frontier was under intense pressure from Gothic, Alemanni, and other barbarian groups, constantly testing Rome's military might. With each invasion, villages were pillaged, thousands lost their lives, and Roman territory shrank. But then Aurelian stepped in, determined to turn the tide. Now a respected general, Aurelian planned brilliant ambushes, exploiting his deep knowledge of the terrain, troop positioning, and even weather conditions to weaken enemy forces. This former farm boy had become the savior of entire Roman provinces. Beyond his military genius, Aurelian connected emotionally with his soldiers and the local population. He understood their fears because he had lived through similar struggles in his youth. This deep connection inspired his troops, pushing them to fight harder than ever. Every victory strengthened Aurelian's reputation and brought him one step closer to the ultimate prize, the throne. These battles became his proving ground, demonstrating that Rome still had great leaders. Among the barbarian tribes, simply hearing the name Aurelian was enough to make them hesitate, or even retreat entirely. Did you already know about Aurelian's legendary campaigns? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The road to the throne, great victories bring great responsibilities. But how did Aurelian go from a respected general to holding the highest position in the empire? With the death of Emperor Claudius II, a power vacuum emerged. The Senate quickly supported Quintillus, Claudius' brother, believing that they could regain political influence. However, the legions saw things differently. To them, the real leader Rome needed was Aurelian, a battle-tested commander who had already been defending the empire on the front lines. The clash of interests was swift. Quintillus realized that his power was fragile without the support of the empire's strongest troops. Meanwhile, those very troops saw in Aurelian a victorious leader and proclaimed him emperor. The result? Quintillus was swiftly defeated, and Aurelian was crowned as the new ruler of Rome. Upon taking the throne, Aurelian inherited an empire in chaos. The economy was in crisis. Internal rebellions were widespread, and political divisions threatened to tear Rome apart. Yet thanks to his firm leadership and his reputation as a problem solver, Aurelian managed to unify most of the legions under a single goal: saving Rome. This transition to power wasn't just a political feat. It was a testament to how battlefield talent could translate into imperial legitimacy. And for those who still doubted his ability to rule, all they had to do was look at his long history of victories and the courage he had displayed in the empire's darkest hours. the crisis of the empire, and the title, Restorer of the World. Now that Aurelian was emperor, how would he reverse the chaos of a fractured empire? The answer lay in a bold plan for reunification and reform. Between 260 and 270 AD, Rome was divided into three major power blocks: the Gallic Empire in the west, the Palmyrene Empire in the east, and the Roman Empire in the center, struggling to hold on. What had once been a unified empire was now splintered into competing factions. Meanwhile, the economy was collapsing, farmland was being pillaged, and disease and famine were more feared than any external enemy. In response, Aurelian launched military campaigns to reclaim lost provinces and restore order. At the same time, he implemented economic policies to control inflation and stabilize Rome's currency. For the people, it was a much-needed breath of relief after years of suffering. His success in retaking key territories and restoring stability earned him the title Restorer of the World, a title not handed out lightly. It was the result of his relentless victories, his ability to reclaim lost lands, and his dedication to reviving hope in a collapsing empire. The key to his success? A balance of military force and diplomacy. Rather than ruling through sheer terror, Aurelian respected local traditions and built alliances where possible, ensuring long-term stability. Have you ever wondered how his efforts to rebuild a shattered empire inspired leaders throughout history? Leave a like now and help us continue exploring ancient Rome. The construction of the Aurelian Walls. Great conquests demand great defenses. Now that Aurelian had unified Rome, how would he protect its capital from future threats? This is where the famous Aurelian Walls come into play. Despite his military victories, Aurelian knew that Rome itself was vulnerable. Barbarian invasions were still happening, and one wrong move could bring enemy forces straight to the gates of Rome. To ensure the safety of the people and reinforce imperial authority, Aurelian ordered the construction of massive walls around the city. These fortifications were more than just a physical barrier. They symbolized a new era of security that Aurelian wanted to establish. Built with high towers and thick walls, the Aurelian Walls became the capital's primary defense, easing the fears of citizens who had long lived in terror of sudden invasions. Building the walls required significant resources and manpower, but, thanks to Aurelian's economic reforms, the project advanced at an impressive pace. Soon, anyone who entered Rome could see these colossal structures rising, a powerful message that Rome would never be defenseless again. Beyond their military purpose, the walls also demonstrated Aurelian's commitment to leaving a lasting legacy. Even today, the remains of these fortifications stand as proof of a time when Rome desperately needed protection, and its emperor answered the call. The conquest of the Palmyrene Empire. One thing is defending your own empire, but another is taking on a legendary ruler like Queen Zenobia. Was Aurelian's ambition bold enough to reach the farthest corners of the East? Zenobia, the Queen of Palmyra, ruled over a wealthy and powerful region, controlling key trade routes and vast resources. This weakened Rome's influence in the East and cut off vital supplies. Initially, there was an uneasy truce. Zenobia nominally recognized Aurelian's rule, but in reality, she governed independently. Realizing that he couldn't afford to wait, Aurelian mobilized his legions and marched east. His campaign was swift and unexpected. Many cities in Asia Minor, previously loyal to Zenobia, surrendered without a fight, fearing Aurelian's unstoppable forces. When he finally reached Palmyra, Aurelian faced fierce resistance, but Rome's superior military tactics won out. Zenobia attempted to escape, seeking support from the Persian Empire, but was captured before she could flee. The fall of Palmyra restored Rome's access to resources, securing grain, wealth, and trade routes once again. For the Roman people, Seeing Zenobia paraded through Rome as a prisoner was a clear sign that the empire was rising once more. However, Aurelian showed restraint, allowing Zenobia to live, demonstrating not just his strength, but also his wisdom as a ruler. Can you imagine how this conquest impacted thousands who relied on Eastern trade? Comment below with your thoughts. The fall of the Gallic Empire. After securing the East by defeating Zenobia, Aurelian still had unfinished business in the West. Would he be able to end the rebellious Gallic Empire and restore Rome's full glory? While Palmyra had broken away, in the East, the western provinces had also split from Rome, forming the so-called Gallic Empire under the rule of Tetricus. Frustrated by the lack of protection from Rome, the local legions had pledged loyalty to Tetricus, who established an independent rule. However, after years of internal struggles and constant pressure from Germanic invasions, his power was fading fast. Sensing that the time was right, Aurelian marched west. Surprisingly, Tetricus didn't put up much of a fight. In fact, some sources suggest that he secretly negotiated with Aurelian, preferring to surrender rather than be overthrown by his own people. Instead of executing him, Aurelian granted Tetricus a comfortable political position, allowing him to live in peace rather than face exile or death. With the reincorporation of the Gallic territories, Rome was finally whole again. The people celebrated Aurelian as a hero, and it was at this moment that his title, Restorer of the World, became fully solidified. The empire's borders once again resembled those of its golden age. Aurelian's leniency toward Tetricus is one of the most striking examples of his leadership. Instead of seeking revenge, he chose stability, reintegrating former rivals into Rome's administrative system, a brilliant strategy in a time of bloody power struggles. Betrayal and tragic death. Did you think Aurelian's story would end in absolute triumph? Unfortunately, his fate took a dramatic turn that no one saw coming. This is where we witness how paranoia and betrayal can end the life of even the greatest leaders. In 275 AD, while preparing for a campaign against the Sassanid Empire, Aurelian was under immense pressure. His strict discipline and harsh punishments for corruption had made him many enemies within his own court. One of those enemies was Hieros, his secretary, who had committed a grave mistake and feared Aurelian's wrath. Desperate to save himself, Hieros forged an official document listing several high-ranking officers as being on Aurelian's execution list, a complete lie. The document spread panic among the officers, who believed they were about to be purged. Fearing for their own lives, they conspired together and, in a shocking betrayal, assassinated Aurelian before he could even defend himself. The news of his murder shook Rome to its core. Without Aurelian, the empire lost the man who had restored its unity and stability. His sudden death created uncertainty, and for a brief period there was no clear successor. Some historians even speculate that his wife, Ulpia Severina, may have briefly taken control, though there is no definitive proof. Despite initial attempts to erase his legacy, the Senate ultimately honored Aurelian, recognizing his unmatched contributions to Rome. He was deified as Divus Aurelianus, solidifying his name among the greatest Roman leaders in history. Aurelian's tragic end serves as a powerful reminder of how power and danger go hand in hand. Even at the height of his influence, he wasn't immune to fear-driven conspiracies, a fate shared by many great rulers before and after him. Were you surprised by Aurelian's sudden downfall? Let us know in the comments. The legacy of the emperor who rebuilt Rome but was still betrayed, Aurelian's journey, was one of unwavering determination. From humble beginnings, he rose through the ranks of the Roman army, became cavalry commander, defeated barbarian invaders, unified Rome, and secured its borders from the east to the west. Yet even the greatest of heroes aren't immune to the schemes of their own courts. His assassination, fueled by paranoia and deceit, reflects an era where loyalty and betrayal coexisted in a fragile balance. Despite his tragic end, Aurelian's legacy lives on. He reunified the shattered empire, restored order, and left behind the Aurelian Walls, which protected Rome for centuries. His reign was a testament to Roman resilience, earning him the rightful title of Restorer of the World. His vision for a strong and unified empire influenced future Roman leaders and proved that, even in the darkest times, a single individual could change history. If you enjoyed this journey through time and want to see more fascinating historical stories, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next deep dive into ancient Rome and the mighty empire.